Shit. That's not gonna work.
I have a couple of people in my life who really love the Jackal. In case you don't know what this is, it's a 2024 series featuring the world's top assassin in a race against the British intelligence services. The series reimagines the character from the iconic movie of the 70s, with a lot of notes to pay respect to the original art. One such iconic scene is when the Jackal receives his custom-made rifle and goes out in the woods to test it. And I must admit, this was really cool to watch. Even though the director maintained a shot-by-shot interlock with the original, the flow and the rifle itself received a modern transformation. The rifle was 3D printed in 2024. I don't know much about guns, let alone 3D printed guns. I don't know anything about movie props, but I do know a little bit about how to model, and I do have a 3D printer, and I think I know a couple of people who would find this an awesome gift. So what's the worst that can happen, right? How hard can it be? Disclaimer, I have no interest in making any sort of working gun models. My aim is literally a broadly accurate display case replica. Having said these expectations, here it goes. First, I needed to find more about the gun, but the internet searches were coming back empty. Only way forwards was to sit through and watch the series, which I did. Very good. Good news, plenty of shots to actually pick the gun components apart. Bad news, I have never done modeling like this without dimensions before. Also, my printer is fairly small, and it's immediately obvious this gun is a beast. As I'm taking all of these screenshots, I realize I have not paid this much attention to any movie in my life. It does actually pay off. You start seeing and noticing the little details. The issue of measurement should be broken into two problems. First, I have to deal with relative size. Get the gun that actually breaks down in all of the parts and looks broadly like the one in the movie. This will be my rough modeling to get everything in fair alignment. Second, I have to deal with absolute size. But for this, I have a couple of tricks up my sleeve. Like, for example, the height of Eddie, the height of his head on average, or a male of his size, the dimensions of a pack of cigarettes, and the size of Eddie's palm, probably. Of course, there was a plan. Coming out of CAD modeling where everything is a known dimension, this guesswork was a nightmare. In hindsight, I wish I printed all of the reference photos out as opposed to try to juxtapose and align them on screen, while also trying to keep track of all of the shots that featured any given part. Honestly, after this, I'm not even sure they used the same gun between shots. I'm sure I got it close in some of the shots, but in others, the proportions still look quite off. I started the best way I know with something simple, and in this case, the simplest element of the gun was the scope. As I worked my way through roughing out all of the other components, I kept wondering how this would overall compare to the real thing. If anyone who worked on the production ends up watching this, please put me out of my misery and let me know. Eventually, after many hours, I have abandoned the safety of precise measurements and adapted a far more fluid approach. I stopped even being concerned with how everything would eventually fit, even though I knew this wasn't going to allow for an easy assembly at the end. And the tree of features started to look really sad indeed. Clearly, CAD is not meant to be used in this way, but that's what I know, and it had to do. After a couple of weeks of working on and off, adjusting and readjusting, I had a rough model that I was happy with. I thought I just needed a few extra touches, a slot to lock in everything when the bullet is pushed in. I had to add some of the adjustment wheels to the scope, I had to hollow it out, locking pins into the sniper body, I needed to offset some edges. Overall, it seemed wholly doable. So in the days leading up to my hard deadline, here I was modeling away. But things started to move really slowly, and it became so frustrating. References started to break. I was lost between so many sketches and construction planes. It was impossible to keep track of anything. Measurements were all over the place in the absence of constraints, and I started to really doubt the whole project. Why was I even doing this? Nobody was going to care. Nobody was going to even know. I'm not a great designer. What do I know about these things? You might think, oh, look how far you've reached. Stopping here would be an obvious mistake. But around this point, I really wanted to give up. Even though the bulk of the work seems done, there was so much more to do. Like the trigger, which I hadn't even started at this stage, the bolt mechanism, all of the interfaces between pieces were not working. On top of that, multiple sketches breaking. Nothing was working, really. It was a stupid idea anyways. So much effort for nothing. If I stopped now, nobody would know. Things would go just as they had before. There'd be no shame. I tried, and I can now move on. Like I had done so many times before with so many other projects. But alas, I persisted. Slowly, really slowly. One feature at a time. An hour here, an hour there. And before I knew it, the adjustment wheels were done. The slot to lock in the thing that pushes the bullet in. Done. Locking pins. Done. Pushing the edges to allow for the assembly. Done. The trigger. Done. As if guided by a higher power. 2 days before the hard deadline, version 1 was complete, and I can't remember the last time I was as enthusiastic to hit the print button. Now, of course, it didn't go well the first time. I had to still adjust things, I had to reprint. The filament kept on getting stuck for some reason, but that couldn't really dampen my enthusiasm. I ended up printing the whole thing, and I had a 3 feet prop in front of me that I was quite proud of. I cut a lot of corners, and the scale might be off, but hey, here he goes, the Jackal's rifle. Hey, thanks for making it this far. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. It took a long time to create this, and an even longer time to put all of the footage together, script it, record the voiceover, all of the effects, everything. I'm just a novice at this, but it's so rewarding when you look back and see the end product. I think I might revisit this for a version 1.5 or even 2 with more functionality added. But for now, I think I'm gonna just take a break for a bit from this entire project, look back and reassess. So if you found anything interesting or useful or intriguing or fun to engage with, or if you have ideas for future video projects, please let me know in the comments. Have a lovely day and hope to see you soon. Bye.